Hi, this is Glenda. We received an email to say that our next Papermates group we're going to do cards in the Azza scrapbooking style. So the first thing my daughter and I did was say, what? And go and look it all up. I had never ever heard of it. I found a little bit on internet, pretty much all in French, because it seems Azza is a French company, and that's where it's really popular. But basically it's geometric photo collage is what I've tried to work out. If I'm wrong, my apologies to everybody who's into that style of scrapbooking. There was almost nothing on converting this idea into card making. One lady had a Pinterest page called Azza Cart, C-A-R-T-E-S, and there were a few ideas on that. This one I cased from that. But basically it has not crossed over into card making particularly, so I've sort of had to come up with ways that I thought translated to this concept. I won't find out for a couple of weeks if I'm even remotely on the right track, but I thought I'd share with you what I came up with so far. So the first thing I tried was to cut a silhouette file like this, and put that over, in this case, a stamped image, and this one is over a printed digi image. So it gives sort of the illusion of geometric collage, except it's actually a piece over the top. I tried creating a stencil to mask, and I wasn't very happy with it. It's not as precise. Because of it's so delicate on the edges, it all tore, so I only got one use out of it, which is pretty expensive with masking sheets. So I wasn't real happy with that. I also tried using this as a stencil and putting it over, oh, you get the idea. And once again, I'm not that ecstatic with the results. I prefer the result of putting this over like I've done on this one. Then what I mostly did was this idea. This was a calendar picture, and if you start by cutting out a circle, and in this case I've done two, you can then use your cutting board to simply cut some lines and make your pattern. As I say, most of this is normally done with photos on a 12 by 12, or at least bigger than a card. So you have a lot more scope, and it works really well for photos. But anyway, this one, obviously I started with a circle and a hexagon to give it a bit of variety. This one is simply a curved edge, punched out, and I don't know if you'd call that as a style or not, but as I say, it was on this Pinterest board that was labelled as a style, so I guess it is in a way. So to get the curve, you can use something like one of these flexible rulers. So, you know, a lot of the Azza cards have waves through the patterns. How they normally seem to work, at least from the Azza site, is you buy templates and you can then trace just certain sections. So you might have a fairly complex template, but you'd pick out pieces, trace them on with your pencil, and then cut them out with your scissors or knife. I don't have any of the templates, so oh, this was the other one done in, did I show that? Oh, I know I'm confusing myself because I have two. This was the first one I did where I just used the circle, and then I sort of used two circles, but they're both from the same sheet of calendar paper. And I just used you know, the sticky decorative label things on that. Yeah, so you can use something like this to get your curve, which is what I did to get the curve on this. So I'll show you some of the other ways that I came up with here. As I say, for this card making exercise, if you can start with a circle, so if you can punch it, that's great. You need to, I thought I could just do shapes and cut it apart and pull it apart, and it didn't really work. You really need to have a space So 1/4 of an inch seemed to be a fairly good space. So if you do that, you'd be discarding this piece, you'd be keeping your circle. You want to be good at jigsaws with this, but then you just take your cutter and you say, well, I'll do, you know, a random one there and move it along 1/4 of an inch and do another one there, and you'd be discarding that piece, and then you might sort of come across here and perhaps across here, doing the same idea. So, you know, we'll take off a bit there and move it along, take off another bit, and excuse me, I'm still fighting this cough. So then you'd just put it together like a jigsaw on your card, and there's your sort of Azza style idea. And you can do it on a stamped image or on a printed image, or you can do it on a photo if you're sending a photo, or you might have some of your own scenery photos or something like that. So that's one way to do it. If you've got a collage, which I start off by saying you cannot buy these anymore unless you can get one on eBay or something. They just don't make them. But this works quite well. You just cut out two. I always have trouble getting it started. So you're going to choose two consecutive circle sizes. I tried my circle cutter, you know, where you put your pen in, swivel it around. I didn't have my paper secured enough, and so it didn't really work for me. But that's, you know, you just need some way of cutting out your shapes. So with collage, you have to cut these little bits. And once again, you're going to be discarding the outside circle. I didn't cut that quite round. Anyway, you get the idea. You're going to be discarding this piece and making your collage up from this. If you've got any of these sort of Fiskars template things, one thing you can do, now this I never use, it's a magic matter, and it's a little disc set, and you put your disc in like so, and your pencil in the middle, and if you actually have lead in your pencil, it helps. Well, trust me, it works better off camera. Anyway, and you don't want to move this. You'll be able to pick that up, because this shape was far too small for this shape. 1/4 of an inch seemed to be a really good size, or 1/8 of an inch if you can manage it. Any bigger, I'm not sure, would work on a card. So if I can get this in, I'm just going to go around. And there's my hexagon, and then you take your scissors or your knife and cut around your pencil line to get your inside piece, and then again with the cutter to just make your pattern across it. So you might do sort of something, stupid pencil, you might do something sort of down that way, and you could go across here and down here, and maybe across here from, obviously straight, but just to get a shape, and then you put it together again like a jigsaw. So that's some ways to start off. With this one, I actually saved, I was going to do the circle as well, but it got a bit busy, but I saved the rectangle from here and actually put it on as well. So you don't have to toss out those pieces you cut out, but normally you do. But that's how I got these ones. So that's where I got to, trying to make Azza cards. As I say, I have no idea if I've succeeded. I certainly have geometric collages, so that's what I'm going to call it. And I'll be very interested to see how we go about it. It's in about 2 weeks' time, so that's my play with Azza cards for the moment, and I have no idea if that's going to be any use to you, but hopefully it was to me, so thank you for watching.